Hello, my name is Lisa Shea, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite poetry books, which is Only Companion, Japanese Poems of Love and Longing, and these are translated by Sam Hamill. Part of why I really enjoy this is that this one actually puts the Japanese language version of the poems on the poetry page. So that's a big help for people who know Japanese or who are studying Japanese so that they can see the words and rhythm in the original Japanese, because as most people who enjoy poetry know, when you translate something, you translate the gist of the meaning, but you don't translate necessarily the rhythm and the sound of the words and so on, and so much of that has a lot to do with how a poem can be enjoyed. So they do the best they can, but I really appreciate that these publishers kept the Japanese version in there so that you could read the Japanese. So it's a collection of people. Sometimes they're anonymous because they don't know the name of the person who wrote the poem. Sometimes they're able to attribute the poem, and then the back of it also has details for the poets that they do know information about. They have little blurbs so that you can learn more about their background and what their life was like. So I'll read to you just a few of my favorites out of this. This one's by Anonymous. Endless autumn nights, almost unbearably long, are not long enough for one to finally overcome the loneliness of our love. Many times in Japanese poetry they were talking about sadness and loneliness and laying alone, wishing that they could be with the person they love, and so on. This one is also by Anonymous. Cicadas sing high in their mountain homes, and evening gathers its darkness. Only the wind, no one else will ever come. This one is by Fujiwara Sunsei. Transparent spring rains fall from here to the horizon, fall on grass and trees, beginning to dye everything in shades of deep spring green. I like that. You can really imagine sitting on a quiet porch and just having the soft fall of the rains as far as the eye can see, and how everything is slowly waking up from winter and starting to turn that soft green color of spring. This one is from Yosano Akiko. My shining black hair, fallen into disarray, 1,000 tangles, like 1,000 tangled thoughts about my love for you. So, as you can guess, with my hair, the thought of 1,000 tangles is one that I can relate to well. And I also understand the feeling of having all these tangled thoughts and all these different concerns and issues and dreams and longings and so on for someone that you care for deeply. So they do a lovely job of sometimes having illustrations in the book to highlight the different poems. I like the selection that they have. You know, some of them are more serious, some of them are less serious. I just happened to flip open to this one while I was looking for illustrations. This is another anonymous one. As night follows night, I shift and turn my pillow, my eyes open wide. Long ago I dreamed of you. How was I sleeping that night? So just all sorts of really pretty poetry to read in here and to think about, and to think that, you know, a lot of this poetry, when you look at the dates in here, you know, some of these poems were written back in the 1800s or the 1200s, so a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and they still have just as much power now and just as relatable now about the way that we have issues with relationships and challenges with being with the one that we love. It shows how timeless those sorts of things are. So, well recommended. One of my favorite books, Only Companion, Japanese Poems of Love and Longing, translated by Sam Hamill. I recommend getting a copy of your own and curling up to read some of them. It's the kind of thing where you could read a poem for a day and then just think about it for the day and think about how it relates to your own life, and then read another poem the next day, and so on. Let me know if you have any of my other books you want me to take a look at. I've got a whole library full of them. Or I suppose movies for that matter, because I've watched lots and lots and lots of Japanese movies over the years. And let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to answer questions. So thank you, and have a lovely afternoon.